This Sun-Gazette video coverage is proudly sponsored by Woodlands Bank.
Hey folks, Chris Masse here. Couldn't think of anything to rant about today, so I'm going to do something a little different. People seem to love top 10 lists, and we live in a hot take society. Everybody likes to have their top 5s, top 10s, so figured we can go over the top 10 sports movies. This is according to me. Everybody else has a different list, I'm sure, but mine is the correct one. So if you feel free to comment and tell me why your list is wrong if you want to. But this is the go-to here. So let's dive into. I also have the best line from each movie. I don't know if it's the best line, but it's the line that I like the most from it, which I guess does mean it's the best line if I think so. All right, so number 10, Moneyball. Now, you have to accept the premise here that a lot of Moneyball is fiction. It's a great movie, but it's based on the 2002 Oakland A's, who lost Jason Giambi, Johnny Damon, Jason Isringhausen. The movie makes it out like it was a miracle run that they made in 2002, when in reality they had the MVP in Miguel Tejada, they had a great third baseman in Eric Chavez, they had 3 of the best pitchers in baseball, and Tim Hudson, Mark Mulder, and Barry Zito. None of that is mentioned in the movie. They try to make it out that Scott Hatteberg was the savior, and none of that's it. Chad Bradford, they make him out to be a savior. He was on the 2001 team. They act like he just came along in 02. Jeremy Giambi, same story. He was involved in one of the more famous plays in MLB history. He was the guy when Derek Jeter made the throw home in the 2001 series and got him out on the hop throw. But in the movie, they try to tell you that he was signed for the 02 season. So all that being said, if you can suspend your disbelief, it's a great movie. The ending is actually real. Scott Hatteberg does hit the home run. They did blow an 11-1 lead against the Royals and then win it 12-11 to win 20 straight games. But anyway, my favorite line in the movie is when Billy Beane, the general manager, that's who the movie's based on him constructing the team. He's talking about bunting, and God bless his philosophy on bunts, because I feel the same way. He told the pitchers and defense, they're just giving you an out, pick up the ball, throw it to first base, and say thank you. Yes, I hate bunting. I get it. I understand the value of it, but there's too many guys, too many coaches I've seen over the years, especially at the high school level that I cover, that are prisoners of the bunt. You could have your best hitter up, and we got a girl on first base, or a guy got a bunt. It's your number 3 hitter. They're hitting like 600. Let them swing the bat. Go for a big inning. Don't be put some thought into it. Anyway, I digress. We'll move on to number 9. Number 9 is Rudy. You're going to notice that a lot of these are baseball and football movies, but I can't help it. They make the best movies in those sports, I feel. So number 9's Rudy. Again, a lot of it, you have to suspend a lot of disbelief. You got to do that in a lot of these movies. Rudy, they act like he's the youngest son. He's actually the oldest son in his family. So, of course, he was the first one to go to college because he was the oldest son in the family, but they make it out that he was a miracle, the youngest child to do so. So a lot of the other stuff is real. Future, the maintenance worker, he's based on, I think, a series of people, so he's not actually based on reality. But anyway, it's still a great movie. I grew up, my grandmother was a diehard Notre Dame fan. She's Irish, so Notre Dame could do no wrong. So I think that's part of it. And it's a great underdog story. I think when he gets accepted to Notre Dame, I kind of well up every time. I'm a big softie like that. And also, if you notice real quick, they have a cameo, not of the real Joe Montana, but the Joe Montana, I think, was a freshman on that team. And when Rudy's putting on his jersey, Joe Montana walks by, and you can hear a guy in the background say, "Hey, Joe." So I thought that was – I watched the movie 1,000 times, and I never noticed that until like the 999th time I watched it. But it's a great story. And the ending, again, is real. He did actually get in. He got a sack. He did jump off sides, but whatever. It's still a good story. And but my favorite line, it's an underrated one. It's the Father Kavanaugh, who's played brilliantly by Robert Prosky. who's a great character actor. He's in one of the other movies on this list. But he said, Rudy asked him if I'd done everything I can do to get into Notre Dame. And Father Kavanaugh says, son, in my 35 years of religious study, I've come up with two hard, incontrovertible facts. There is a God, and I'm not him. It's just, I just think it's fun. It's funny, and it's so true. So that's it. I was just looking at the list here. Robert Prosky he's in the next movie, The Natural. He was the judge. Another great baseball movie. Roy Hobbs. You have to suspend disbelief. I think Robert Redford was probably closer to 45, 50, playing like a 35-year-old middle-aged, not even middle-aged, and an old right fielder in this one. But it's a great. I read the book in high school. They needed to make a movie, The Natural, with a different ending because the book is beyond depressing with the ending. And I'll spoil it for you if you haven't read it. He takes the money in the Natural in the book. It decides at the last minute, and his last at bat, he's still going to swing away, but he strikes out anyway. So not only does he take the money, he strikes out like a bum at the end. So the book is. Thank God they made the movie because it's so much more gratifying how he comes through at the end and hits the walk-off home run. And the Knights win for Pop Fisher, who's one of my favorite manager/coaches in cinema history, played by Wilford Brimley. Wilford Brimley looked like he was 70 years old. I think you could look it up. I think he was like 43 years old when this movie was made. It's unbelievable how it must have been a different world back then. But anyway, he's brilliant in the movie. It's a great movie. That's all we'll say about that. 7 is actually a documentary, Hoop Dreams. It's just so real. Came out in 1992. It follows 2 kids that have dreams of playing in the NBA in Chicago. Follows them from 7th grade all the way through college. But I highly recommend this one. It's too long to get into, but obviously there's a lot of twists and turns, and it works out for both of them in the sense that they both go to college and get to play basketball, but neither one gets to the NBA. And William Gates, it's on William Gates and Arthur Agee, the two players that are followed. And at the end, it's actually the closing line in the movie. He says, "People always tell me, don't forget about me when you make it. I say, if I don't make it, don't forget about me." And I think that was the perfect line to close the movie on. And it says a lot, it says a lot about all these stars, how they're built up in high school and college. And I thought that was perfect. Some of them aren't going to make it, and are you going to remember them and value what they did after it doesn't work out for them at the pro level? Number 6, the only hockey movie on this one. I thought about Slapshot. That's a brilliant movie too. But we go with Miracle, the story of the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team. Again, there's some stuff that's not real, and they stretch the truth at times. But for the most part, I think this one's pretty on the money. And I mean, that one's made for a movie. It really was movie-like how the U.S. hockey team conquered all the odds and beat the mighty Soviets. And the Cold War was still going on at this time, and I think that I was alive when this happened. I was 4 years old, but so obviously I don't remember it. I don't remember anything about the game. That's one. And two games I wish that I technically saw, but don't remember anything about this one. And the 1981 Niners catch game against the Cowboys to win the NFC Championship a year later. My dad says I watched it and was happy that the Niners won, but I don't remember it. I wish I did because that would have been awesome to watch. But Miracle's a great movie. 5, another baseball movie, Major League. This one you don't have to worry about suspended disbelief. It's a comedy, and actually it's more I think it's more realistic than some baseball movies out there. But I mean, this is the best baseball comedy film out there. Bull Durham is great too. That's technically, that's kind of a comedy, but this is straight comedic from start to finish, and it's just every character in it is brilliant. From Lou Brown, the manager, to Bob Uecker as Harry Doyle, should have won an Oscar. I mean, just about every line that he has in the movie, all which one was improvised by him, by the way. I mean, he was already a national icon at that point, but that just shot it up even higher. And actually, this is one of the most quotable sports movies of all time, but I went with one that probably flies under the radar, but I liked it anyway. He was talking about Clu Haywood, the Yankees' first baseman. He's the MVP in the movie. And he says Tamani, his color guy, his color commentator, he leads the league in most offensive categories, including nose hair. Haywood's a convicted felon, ain't he, Monty? It doesn't say here. Well, he should be. You gotta love saying he's a convicted felon. He should be a convicted felon. That's Harry Doyle at his best. But from Harry Doyle to Jake Taylor, Willie Mays Hayes, that's another great line is Willie Mays Hayes, played by Wesley Snipes, saying, "I run like Hayes and I hit like Mays." And when he's struggling in the batting cage, Lou Brown, as only Lou Brown can say, well, Mays, you may run like Hayes, but you hit like bleep. And that's a great move. That's a great line too. But if you haven't seen Major League, do so. We keep going with the baseball movies now. Field of Dreams. This is the top baseball movie on the list. Some people. I think some people don't. They think it's too sappy, too sentimental. But I dare anybody that's had a close relationship with their dad and played catch with their dad or anything to not well up at the end when Kevin Costner meets his dad, who's one of the ghosts that's playing at the end of the game. That's if you build it, he will come, ease his pain, go to distance. He thinks it's all about Shoeless Joe Jackson and Terrence Mann and Moonlight Graham. It's actually about his dad. Anyway, right before they get the money shot with the sun setting, and he says, "Hey, Dad, want to have a catch?" Man, it gets me every time. Luckily, my daughter and my wife they don't watch a lot of sports movies, so they don't see me welling up, so they don't really ever watch it with me, so they don't see me starting to well up like a baby over there, but it tugs on the heartstrings. Plus, it's just a great movie from start to finish. Costner's great. James Earl Jones is great. Timothy Busfield, an underrated actor, I think, in the minimal parts he's in, he's really good. So that's a great one, and there's some underrated funny lines in that. Amy Madigan's brilliant as Kevin Costner's wife. I like when she calls the one lady a Nazi cow at the movie where they're meeting about burning books. She's got a lot of good one-liners in there. So anyway, that's a really good movie. Number 3, I don't think a lot of people have this one on the list, but I think it's the best high school football movie ever made. All the Right Moves. It's about Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise plays for. It's a fictional Ampipe, Pennsylvania. They filmed the movie in Johnstown and Altoona, actually. But I think it captures the soul of high school football, what it means to certain towns, and it kind of reminds me of a Mount Carmel, Shamokin type area, and especially Mount Carmel, and how much football, Berwick there too, how much football meant to them, especially in the 80s when this came out, and I think 82 or 83. Again, you got to suspend disbelief because Tom Cruise is portrayed as like a Ronnie Lott type hard-hitting cornerback. When it's Tom Cruise, he's about 5'6", and but if you can get past that, yeah, maybe. So, if you can get past that, it's a great high school movie. Also, you got to get past this. Ampipe is viewed as like the big underdog, and Walnut Heights, the team they play in the big game, is they're the juggernaut. They're the giant behemoth out there that nobody can beat. But Ampipe, as you follow the movie, has about 9 Division I players, including a guy going to USC, West Virginia. They got guys going everywhere. Stefan Georgievic, who Tom Cruise plays, is getting recruited by Syracuse, a lot of Big Ten, a lot of Big East schools, things like that. So how are these guys the underdog? That's like a dream team right there when you got all that, like 10 major Division I recruits. Come on. But it's a great movie. It's got a twist. You think the big game's actually in the middle of the movie, and then it goes on from there. How the coach, brilliantly played by Craig T. Nelson, kind of blackballs Tom Cruise from there, and things work out at the end. But in that after the game, Craig T. Nelson is Coach Nickerson. Made a bonehead decision at the end. They forced a fumble at the goal line. They could have either taken a safety and kicked off with like 1 second left and won the game, or take a knee. He hands the ball off. The kid fumbles, and Craig T. Nelson berates him in the locker room, and Cruz interferes and says, "We didn't quit. You quit." He gets kicked off the team. But But that's a great line, and it's good for standing up to the dictator coach who wasn't accepting his responsibility in the loss. So if you like high school football, you should watch that movie. Number 2, Hoosiers. You could make a good case for number 1 here. Ironically, Gene Hackman thought this was going to be a dud. There's a part and it's one of the video montages where they're starting to play great, and you can see him and Dennis Hopper, who won the Oscar for supporting actor in this movie. He was his assistant coach. You can see him laughing on the sidelines, and what Hopper said, Hackman told him, was that made Hopper laugh like that spontaneously was he said, "Hopper, you better have a lot of money because this is the end of our careers." Little did he know what a box office smash this would be. Hackman was nominated for an Oscar. The movie was nominated for an Oscar, all worthy. It's brilliant high school football. It's great. It's high school basketball, Indiana. I think it sums up what it means to the Indiana, all throughout the state of Indiana. So it's not 100%. I mean, obviously, the team's fictional. It's based on a team from, I think, 1954. So anyway, they won that game 32-30. They fudged the score a little bit, but I think it was the guy that Jimmy Chitwood plays did hit a game-winning shot to win the game, and it's brilliant. It's great from start to finish. I could do without the Gene Hackman Barbara Hershey storyline. I feel like that's forced. They don't need it in the movie, but nevertheless, it's awesome. And I've actually used this line. I've quoted the fictional Norman Dale, played by Gene Hackman, in some basketball stories I've written over the years about underdog teams playing against juggernauts in the state playoffs. But before the Final Four game, he says, if you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game. In my book, we're going to be winners. Perfect. I think whether you win... I always say when I played sports, I wish I would have just appreciated the opportunity to play and not gotten so caught up in winning and losing, and live by that motto that if you do everything that you can, in a sense, you've won. If you have no regrets, that's basically what Norman Dale is telling the players there, and that's why I love that line so much. I think that's the best one in the movie. Number 1, this is my favorite movie of all time. I've watched it 8,000 times, probably more than that. I can pretty much quote it from the beginning to the end, probably with like the first 4 movies in the saga, which is a hint right there. Skip over part 5 because it should have never happened and go right to Rocky Balboa. And anyway, it's Rocky, the original Rocky, the first one, the one that won the Oscar for Best Movie. Just perfect movie, and it's great. I mean, this is like, it starts to go off the rails by you can even, Rocky 2 is somewhat believable. Even 3, you can stretch and say it goes off the rails. And Rocky 4, when we're supposed to believe that Drago's the guy on roids, when look at Stallone. I mean, look at him in Rocky 1 and then in Rocky 4 and tell me he's not on roids. And then he ends the Cold War and blah. It's like, all right, that's nonsense. And then 5 is, like I said, don't watch 5. Just block it out of your mind. I always like to think it was a bad dream that Adrian had, and they woke up and it was Rocky Balboa in 2006. But Rocky's perfect. I mean, it's. I grew up 20 minutes from Philadelphia, so I think with him being the Philadelphia Slugger, there's some more sentimental value there. But it's the greatest underdog story, I think, out there. And I think it's great that at the end he doesn't win. He kind of foreshadowing when he tells Adrian, I don't care if I win. I don't care if he busts my head open. I just want to go the distance. Nobody's ever gone the distance with Creed before. And if I can go that distance, I'm going to know for the first time in my life that I ain't some bum from the streets. That's not even my best line. But it is a great line. The best line is actually from Apollo Creed, who, Carl Weathers just absolutely kills it as Apollo Creed. He's brilliant in every Rocky movie he's in, but it's before he even signs on to fight Rocky. But the broadcaster says, do you have any advice for the kids? And Apollo Creed says, yeah, be a doctor, be a lawyer, carry a leather briefcase. Don't get into sports. Sports make you grunt and smell. See, be a thinker, not a stinker. How can you not love Apollo Creed? You want Rocky to win at the end, but how can he's just so awesome. That's why this is the best movie ever made. 3 is the most entertaining, though, because you have Stallone or Rocky. You got Thunder Lips, played by Hulk Hogan. He's great in his small part there. Clubber Lang is Mr. T. Apollo, Carl Weathers, they're talking trash. That's the most entertaining, but this is the best one. And as I said, it's somewhat believable. They're all brilliant in this movie. Adrian, who's the Debbie Downer in every movie, actually she's not in this one, but from 2 through 4, her mission is to tell Rocky that he can't win and to try to piss all over. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but urinate all over his dreams and try to convince him that he can't win. But in this one, she's actually stands by him a little bit, and she is played brilliantly by Talia Shire. Burgess Meredith is one of the greatest managers you could come up with in a boxing movie ever. Burt Young is Paulie. He's brilliant. It's just a great movie from start to finish. And if you don't like it, I've got to believe that you're communist or something, because I think it's the best movie ever. It won the Oscar for a reason. So that's it. That's my top 10. Yours might be different, and you would be wrong. But you're entitled to your opinion. As the great Apollo Creed does say in Rocky II, that's your opinion and you're entitled to it. So there you go. That's all. We'll come back next week with something else, and have a happy Thanksgiving.